After a routine Ansible run, all web servers lost their SSL certificate paths, taking down every site. The culprit? A variable defined in 3 places, with the wrong one winning. Let's break down Ansible Best Practices and project structure, how it works, and the exact mistake behind that failure. Ansible Best Practices and Project Structure is a set of conventions for organizing automation code into reusable, maintainable, and scalable components. It covers directory layout, role design, variable management, and inventory organization. Flat playbooks start simple but become unmanageable. You can't test a single component without running everything. Hard-coded values prevent reuse across environments. The fix is to use roles. This flat playbook works but is not reusable. The config path is hard-coded. There's no separation of concerns. If you have more than 50 lines, it's time to refactor into roles. Ansible's recommended layout separates concerns. Each environment has its own inventory and group vars. Roles are in roles, playbooks in playbooks. This makes it clear where to find anything. This is the layout I use in production. Each role has its own tasks, handlers, templates, and defaults. The top-level group vars is for variables shared across all environments. This configuration file speeds up execution and enables debugging. Use gathering equals smart and fact caching to cut playbook runtime by 30–50% on subsequent runs. Ansible has a variable precedence order. Role defaults have the lowest precedence, meant to be overridden. Never put environment-specific values in role vars, use group vars instead. These are role defaults that work for development. They are meant to be overridden in group vars for production. Never hardcode environment-specific values here. A good role is like a function. It takes inputs, does one thing, and produces a predictable state. Break up complex logic into separate files like install, yml, configure, yml. This modular tasks file can be partially skipped via variables. Each include tasks is conditional, allowing you to skip parts of the role by setting variables like engine_x_install. False. The inventory is your source of truth. Use groups to represent function and environment. Then use group vars to set environment-specific variables. Never put IP addresses in playbooks. This inventory file uses groups and children for environment separation. Note that Ansible user and Ansible SSH private key file are set in inventory vars, not in playbooks or roles. A playbook should be a thin orchestrator that applies roles to groups. It should not contain tasks directly. Use import playbook to compose larger playbooks from smaller ones. This site-wide playbook is clean. No tasks, just roles applied to groups. Use limit to run against a subset of hosts during testing. Hardcoding passwords is a fireable offense. Use Ansible Vault to encrypt sensitive variables. For production, consider a secrets manager like HashiCorp Vault. This is a vault-encrypted file. Ansible decrypts it automatically when the vault password is provided. Never commit vault passwords in plain text. Ansible has no built-in testing framework, so you need to build your own. Run syntax check, lint, and molecule tests on every commit. Dry run against staging before production. This GitHub Actions workflow runs syntax check, lint, and molecule tests on every push. Molecule tests roles in Docker containers, catching idempotency issues and missing dependencies. This is the same issue we highlighted at the start. Here's exactly why that happened. A junior dev set cert path in the Playbook vars section, which has higher precedence than group vars. The Playbook var was set to etc/SSL/certs, overriding the correct production path. The role then deployed configs pointing to the wrong directory. A junior dev set cert path in Playbook vars, which overrode the correct production path in group vars, causing configs to point to etc/SSL/certs instead of /etc/SSL/prod/certs. The fix was to remove the cert path definition from the Playbook vars and move all environment-specific paths to group vars. We also added a CI check that fails if any variable is defined at more than 2 precedence levels. Defining the same variable in role defaults, group vars, and Playbook vars leads to confusion. The Playbook vars win, which can override environment-specific values. Keep variables in at most 2 places, role defaults and group vars. Never use e-to-pass secrets on the command line. They appear in process lists and logs. Use Ansible Vault or a secrets manager instead. Hardcoding paths and values in tasks prevents reuse. Use variables for everything that differs between environments. Define defaults in roles and overrides in group vars. The include tasks and import tasks syntax shown in the article requires Ansible 2.4+. If you're still on Ansible 2.3 or earlier, use include instead, deprecated in 2.8. Also, the gathering equals smart setting with JSON fact caching is only available in Ansible 2.5+. The article mentions dynamic inventory, but doesn't show how to use it. Here's a minimal example using the Oz-Ek2 plugin to automatically discover elastic compute cloud instances based on tags. Even with roles and variables, idempotency is not guaranteed. Always test with checkdiff before running against production. Some modules, e.g., command, shell, are not idempotent by default. Use creates or when conditions to make them safe. To debug variable issues, use Ansible inventory to see what variables are defined for a host. Run syntax check and dry run to catch errors before deployment. Enable log path to capture detailed logs. Let's run through some common interview questions. How does variable precedence work? 10 levels, role defaults lowest, extra vars highest. Common mistake, defining same variable in 3 places. When to use roles versus flat playbook. Roles for 10 hosts or multiple environments, flat for prototypes. How to debug undefined variable. Use Ansible inventory host, check precedence, ensure vault password provided. And a few frequently asked questions. What is the best way to structure an Ansible project? Use roles for everything, playbooks as thin wrappers. How do you manage variables across environments? Follow precedence, role defaults, group vars, host vars, vault. How do you test Ansible playbooks? Syntax check, lint, dry run, molecule for roles. Let's recap the key takeaways. Use roles for everything. Follow variable precedence, defaults, group vars, vault. Test with syntax check, Ansible lint molecule. Encrypt secrets with Ansible Vault. Ready to go deeper? Up next, Ansible ad hoc commands guide, then your first Ansible playbook, then Ansible installation guide, and Ansible execution environments. Find them all at TheCodeForge.io. Thanks for watching. The full article and code examples are covered in detail at TheCodeForge.io.